This car shouldn't exist. Seriously, in 2026, we're surrounded by silent EVs and crossovers that all look like the same bar of soap. But then there's the Nissan Z. It's got a long hood, a short deck, and a twin-turbo V6 that wants to kick the back end out every time you breathe on the throttle. Most people think the sports car is dead, but Nissan did something crazy. They built a rear-wheel drive beast with a manual gearbox. But here's the problem. While everyone was hyping this thing up, critics started pointing out some uncomfortable truths. They say Nissan got lazy. They say it's just a 370Z in a fancy suit. So, is the Nissan Z the last real driver's car? Or just a $50,000 nostalgia trip that can't keep up with its rivals? Stick around, because the answer involves a secret hidden in the transmission that most owners don't even know about. Let's look under the hood. Nissan ditched the old 3.7-liter engine for the VR30 a 3-liter twin-turbo V6. We're talking 400 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque. This is the heart of the Infinity Red Sport, a proven powerhouse with massive tuning potential. On paper, it's exactly what a Z car needs. But here is the tension. Enthusiasts panicked. They worried an Infinity engine would feel numb. People feared turbo lag, that annoying delay before the power kicks in, and wondered if it would overheat on a track. Would this feel like a raw sports car or just a heavy luxury sedan in a tight suit? The payoff is in the tuning. Nissan added small diameter turbos and an optical speed sensor so they can spin at 220,000 RPM. When you floor it, it feels old school. There's a tiny whistle, then a surge of torque that pins you to your seat. It's rowdy, loud, and way more alive than the old 370Z. It turns out that luxury engine gave the Z a level of refinement it never had, without losing its soul.
Visually, the car is a love letter to the 70s and 90s. You get the 240Z silhouette and those iconic 300ZX taillights. It's easily the best-looking car Nissan has made in 2 decades. They even added a katana blade trim on the roof to remind you of its Japanese heritage. However, the setup leads to a real tension. Retro is a trap. If you lean too hard into the past, the car looks like a cheap tribute act. Critics worried Nissan was just covering up a lack of new ideas. Is it a modern machine, or just a 370Z wearing its grandfather's clothes to a party it wasn't invited to? The payoff is in the details. This isn't a copy-paste job. Look at the rear glass. Since 1969 is etched right into the corner. The digital dash was designed with input from GT500 racer Tsugio Matsuda, so the red line sits at 12 o'clock when you're pushing it. It feels designed by people who actually love driving, not a board of directors looking at a spreadsheet. Now let's talk about the skeleton. The Z is built on the FM platform. Nissan updated the geometry, added monotube shocks, and stiffened the body to make it handle like a modern machine. But here's the tension. Critics hate that this new chassis is basically a modified 370Z frame. Because it's an older design, the Z is heavy, over 3,500 pounds. Compared to the lighter BMW-backed Toyota Supra, people worried the Z would feel like a boat in the corners. The payoff? That old platform is the Z's secret weapon. By using it, Nissan kept the price lower than its rivals. And that extra weight? It makes the Z a much better daily driver. It's more planted on the highway and less twitchy than a Supra. It's an analog experience. It's not a track-focused scalpel. It's a high-speed grand tour you can actually live with.
Now we have to address the elephant in the room, which is the driving experience. Most people buy an SUV because they want to feel safe and planted. You want to feel like you're in a tank that handles like a car. Honda has always been the king of driving feel in the boring car category. They spend a lot of time tuning the suspension so it's not too soft, but not too stiff. The tension arises when you realize that to save weight for the hybrid system, they had to make some compromises. On rougher pavement, you might notice more road noise than you'd expect from a vehicle at this price point. In an effort to keep the car light and efficient, they didn't go as heavy on the sound deadening as some luxury brands do. If you're coming from a Lexus or even a higher trim Mazda, the wind noise at 70 miles per hour might drive you crazy over a long period of time. But the payoff is the steering. Honda has managed to make a family SUV that actually feels fun to steer. It doesn't feel vague or heavy, it goes exactly where you point it, which gives you a level of confidence in emergency maneuvers that the Toyota RAV4 simply can't match. It feels light on its feet, making it much easier to park in tight spots or navigate narrow city streets. Let's get into the reliability, because Honda has a reputation for being bulletproof. You buy a CR-V, you change the oil, and you give it to your kid 15 years later. That's the dream, right? Most buyers assume that because it's a Honda, they don't even need to look at the warranty. But we need to talk about the sticky steering and the fuel injectors. Over the last year, a growing number of CR-V owners have reported a steering rack issue where the wheel feels notched or stuck while driving at highway speeds. It's unsettling. On top of that, there have been concerns about fuel injectors failing early. If you're buying this car for its legendary reliability, hearing about steering failures on a brand new vehicle is a massive red flag. Here's the reality check. Most of these issues were concentrated in the early 2023 and 2024 models. For the 2026 model year, Honda has addressed the steering rack design and updated the fuel system components. While no car is perfect, the CR-V still holds one of the highest resale values in the world. The payoff is knowing that even a troubled Honda is usually more reliable than a perfect version of most other brands. When you go to sell this car in 5 years, you're going to get a much larger chunk of your money back than if you bought almost anything else.
Most sports cars are a nightmare to live with, cramped, loud, and painful on long drives. Nissan promised the Z would be a dailyable sports car. The tension comes from the interior. To save money, Nissan reused door handles and plastics from older models. For $50,000, some feel the cabin is a bit budget. But once you're in the driver's seat, the payoff is clear. The seats are fantastic, the digital dash is crystal clear, and the visibility is way better than the Supra's mailbox-sized windows. You can take this car on a road trip, sit in traffic, and not hate your life. It's a sports car that doesn't demand you sacrifice comfort for performance. The Nissan Z isn't trying to be the most advanced car on the planet. It's a car with flaws, an old soul, and a refusal to apologize for being analog. It's a bridge between the gasoline past and the electric future. Whether you love the retro looks or hate the part-spin interior, you have to respect that Nissan actually built it. In a few years, we'll look back at the Z as one of the last heroes of the internal combustion era. It's not perfect, but that's exactly what makes it a Z. I'll see you in the next one.